What's up, guys? Welcome back. Appreciate you stopping by. Today we're going over evasion tactics from man's best friend. So pull up your buddy, your four-legged buddy, grab something to drink, and let's get started. As always, guys, if you like the dad jokes and lots of gay innuendos, you like it what you see, drop down below, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share it with your homies. It really helps out the channel a lot. We're still growing. We still got a lot of stuff to do. So the more you support, the more hood rat content I can pump out. So unless you've been living under a rock for a hot minute, you probably have heard of the gun tuber garandthumb. And just a while back, he put out a video on evading drones with thermal, aerial reconnaissance vehicles, stuff like that. Previous to that, he's done videos on how to evade people, militaries, all that stuff. It got me thinking, what is the one thing that is readily available not only throughout different military units but also law enforcement and what they use to track humans? It's cheaper, it's easier to maintain, it's less affected by environmental variables, and that's dogs. So your canine units. So my background, we won't dive too far into it, but all of my experiences compile from the contracted security in the private sector. I've done a whole lot of cool stuff and a whole lot of dumb stuff. I've worked on the state level, federal level, so on and so forth. But a long time ago, in a galaxy far away, I had the opportunity to work with the Texas Criminal Justice Department's canine units, and they used primarily pack dogs. Pack dogs, on the other hand, are slightly different. We call them pack dogs. They're in a pack. It's going to be anywhere from 5 to 15 different dogs, and they're usually accompanied by several handlers, a QRF team, or it's going to be their handlers via horseback or ATV, UTV, you name it. I learned quite a bit that we're going to use today, and a lot of it goes hand in hand with what our Lord and Savior Flannel Daddy has said previously. So tactics that you're going to use to evade not only humans and aerial reconnaissance, your drones, we're going to use some of those, but then we're going to introduce a completely new tactic that is going to use primarily for canines. And why I think this needs to be put out there is you're 9 times out of 10 going to run into and or be tracked by canines before you will be a drone because of this. So first and foremost, what we're going to want to do is not close the gap, but the opposite. We're going to take off as fast as we can and put as much distance between us and the canine unit as possible. Now, that being said, your run and start, your head start is absolutely crucial at this point. If those dogs catch you in line of sight and they can see you visually, then you're probably done. That visual cues to that dog, that is where they get their reward, and it's game on. They tear ass and eat your ass, and it's done. So you definitely want to break line of sight as quickly as possible. So just like garandthumb said, that initial stage in the pursuit, you want to cover as much ground as possible. You want to try your best to avoid waters, waterways, roads, stuff like that, because the people that are after you are obviously going to go to your LCC, your last cover and concealment that they knew you were at, and then they're going to pull up a map, and before they even ask which direction did you go, they're going to look at key geographic variables on the map to where you might go. So they're going to be trying to think like you. So you need to be thinking like them, thinking like you, if that makes sense. You're gonna like double back on how things work. Almost as if you're going to be uncharacteristically unlike yourself. So if you think, hey, this is a good idea, I need to go here, probably best that you don't. Also, let it be known in this video, when I say the word scent, when they pick up your scent, it is a common misconception that canines, they're following your smell. That's partly true, but you are a giant snow globe of dead skin that is just constantly falling off of you. So not only do you emanate a specific smell, but you also have physical debris coming off your body constantly. So it's hard to visualize, but basically if you're standing next to somebody in line at the concession stand, they got really bad dandruff, like really bad, they got the scabies, and a big gust of wind comes and then they look like they had sawdust blown off of them. It's like invisible sawdust that's constantly falling off and leaving a trail of where you went. So that's what we're going to take into account moving forward with our tactics. And so if I do use the word scent, just know that it's a mixture of scent and your particulate trail. So the first step is to create distance between you and the canine unit tracking you. This next part is the key to success. Unlike drones with thermal imaging and reconnaissance vehicles that have that kind of capability, hiding in the underbrush, hiding under ledges and rocks to mask your signature, and creating false trails to implement your J-hook for your ambush and all that stuff, it's not going to work with these dogs. The key to survival for evading canines is endurance. Don't stop. Never stop. So if you can't sprint anymore, just a nice, steady, slow jog. It doesn't matter, just stop. These dogs are just like humans. Eventually, they're going to get tired and worn out. And just like us humans, when they get tired and worn out, they just want to go home and go to bed, get something to eat. So they're not going to be as focused and maintain that mental discipline that they initially had. They lose heart just as much as we do when we can't find our target. So now with certain agencies or departments, they'll have multiple teams of dogs, and so when one group of dogs gets tired, they'll switch them out for another one. So that's why we can never stop moving. Now, if you're being hunted by a drone and canine, good luck. You're screwed. So they're going to follow that scent trail no matter what. So here are a couple of tricks on how to not, what's the word I'm looking for? These aren't going to defeat the dog's nose, because the handlers know how to reinitiate their dogs once they've gone cold and lost the trail. The only thing that we can do by setting these scent traps or delay features is, case in point, delay. All we're wanting to do is slow down the dogs to create more of a gap, more of a gap, more of a gap. The more distance you can put between you and them, the more they're going to lose your scent trail. It's going to dissipate depending on where you're going and what all other smells there are. But it's going to buy you more time, to where basically your end-all goal is to create such a gap that there's no way that they can catch up. You're outside their grid, you're outside their search area. So if you have some sort of extract that you can get to. Obviously, if you're within that initial search grid, you don't want to go to a road and try and bounce from there, because if I'm tracking somebody with dogs and they're on the loose, that's the first thing I'm going to do is pull up a map, look at any roads nearest to where we're starting, and then I'm putting roadblocks out probably 10-15 miles out on either side, just so I know you ain't going to boogie in a car. So when we start discussing scent traps and time delays, such as a body of water, we all know the dangers and hazards that coming into contact with a high traffic area like this is. So it's kind of one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's a good way to get a head start to really increase the gap on any kind of canine units pursuing you, but at the same time, it's a really good way to get caught, because everybody knows that you're going to try and go to water, because we need water to keep going. So it's one of those 50-50s. Now, if you are going to utilize a body of water to throw the scent off the trail, never go straight across. If I were to enter the water right here and walk straight across and then go up there, I may as well not have gone in the water in the first place. Because those dogs, they're gonna encircle the entire area, and they're all smelling. They're all picking up on any clues they can, and the first one that goes over there and picks up your scent just on the other side, he's gonna signal. The rest of them are gonna stack on him. Boy, this video has been nothing but spooky shit. I got chill bumps all over me because a goddamn pteranodon flew over and scared the shit out of me. If you are going to use a body of water, obviously don't go straight across. You're taking a risk getting in the water to begin with, because people might see you. But if we say we're going to do it, we don't have any options. What you want to do is obviously get in the water to its deepest most point, to where you're pretty much submerged, and then you're going to hoof it as fast as you can downstream. A safe bet would be anywhere from 200 to 300 yards, and then from there you can exit. And all that's going to do is it's going to stall the dogs. So they're going to come to where you entered the water, and they're going to search the area, assuming that you're going straight across. But then once they don't immediately find sign and pick up your scent, then he's going to send the dogs up and down the embankments to a certain level. It depends on the handler. And so all that's going to do is buy you time until they get down there to where you came out of the water at. So hopefully, if he's smart, he's got dogs on both sides going down there. If he's running them on one side and you came out on the other, then that's even more time. But he's going to run those dogs in your LCC of where they lost scent for a hot minute until they pick something back up, and then they're going to carry on. They're not just going to say it ran cold and then head back. There are a lot of different tactics that you can implement when evading canines, that ultimately, if you have the mindset and know that you cannot stop and they will never stop, not until you create such a significant gap in the distance, you're out of town, you're out of state, that's when I would let my guard down, when I am that far. So for example, if you're in a rural area, you're running through the woods, they're tracking you, and you run up on a farmhouse, and you look out and they have a medium to large enclosure with, say, like boar goats, meat goats, or any kind of farm animal where there's a lot of them, hop that fence. You may not have a lot of cover, or concealment, moving through there. But if it's a large enough area, book it through that field, through that pasture, through that enclosure with those other animals. Do a couple of laps inside the enclosure, stir the animals up, shake your head off, rub your arms, get as much of that dead skin off in that area as possible with those animals. And then when you make your exfil out of the enclosure, the best way I can describe it is if you can climb a fence post in the corner of it, in the corner of that enclosure, and at the top of that fence post, jump as far as you can away from it, and then hit the ground running. Those dogs, they're going to get to the enclosure, and not only is it absolutely chaotic as far as the scent trail that you left behind, but then those dogs are going to have a natural reaction to that livestock, those goats, those cows, whatever it is. And the handlers are going to have to deal with that. And honestly, any department, they're probably going to avoid it, because if any of those dogs go haywire and attack one of those goats, well, now they're going to get sued. That's a liability, all that stuff. So if you can do stuff like that, that's really going to delay them even more. Now, this is all set up as just one team of dogs is tracking you. If they have multiple teams, especially coming in from different directions, well, I mean, you're going to still utilize these tactics, but you're kind of up creek. You can't stop. Never stop. And you'll burn those dogs down as long as you can just create the distance. Guys, I really appreciate you stopping by. This discussion, although we didn't shoot any, I think it's pretty important. There's a lot of good knowledge and information on the web going around right now on evasion, seer related topics, stuff like that. And it is important that we keep up with technology and how warfare is fought now. So drones, UAVs, thermal imaging, these are all things that we got to be on top of our game if we want to stay vertical. But a lot of times newer technology comes in and steals the spotlight from old and gold ways of doing things, and they've been tracking people with dogs for thousands and thousands of years, and it's one of the best ways to do it. Any of y'all that do any hog hunting with dogs, then you already know. So not only do we have to stay a step ahead of the game when it comes to our two-legged adversaries, but we need to know how those four-legged adversaries operate as well to try and stay ahead of them. Guys, love you. We'll see you on the next one. Hope you learned something. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Always push back.